And welcome back, guys, to another episode of Katawa Shoujo. In the last part, we had a little phone conversation with Lily about Hanako, and we learned quite a few sort of sad things about her. And we've decided the best course of action is just to make sure that she's doing okay, and Hisao's brought a plate of food to hopefully at least coax her out a little bit to at least accept the food, because she's been absent for the past couple of days. The occasional passing student give badly hidden glances at the plate of food I carry to the female dormitories. It's hardly a meal to be proud of, only being an instant microwave meal from the convenience store, but it should at least fill her up. Eventually, I arrive outside her room. After having to ward off a couple of girls who jokingly tried to pilfer the food I had taken so long to procure, I decided to forego knocking, since it was proven to be an utterly useless measure, and it's somewhat difficult to do with my hands full. Hanako, it's Hisao. I know you're listening. I got some food for you. Silence, as expected. I'll leave it beside your door. Please eat it at least, okay? There, I've said my piece. Now it's up to her. Putting the plate down, I walk back to my own room to eat my dinner. By the time I return to Hanako's dormitory, a good hour's passed. Thankfully, there isn't anything to be seen beside her door. I walk back at least somewhat happier that she's eating. If she intends to get through this by herself, then being able to help, even if it's just in such a small way, is at least something. Oh, okay, so she took the food, which is really good. Hopefully not one of her, like, shitty neighbors, like, went by and pilfered it, since he did say that they were doing it. But since it's nowhere to be seen, you know, well, maybe. I sit readily in the library after school, turning page after page, barely registering the words written on each, out of sheer boredom. With my cheek resting on my hand, I can't help notice the slight, rough feeling against my palm. It wouldn't be long before I need to get a razor. Giving up on reading, I simply let my head drop onto the book in front of me. Things have quieted down considerably since Hanako began attending school again. When she first returned to class, nothing was said nor done that wasn't part of the usual routine, and it's been the same way since. Neither of us desired to bring up her accident, so there simply wasn't any point in pursuing it. Thus, a few days went by, the daily grind continuing just as it had before. It's only natural that my mind would wander to other places, and more importantly, other people. The lily-shaped hole in the daily life of Hanako and me has been pretty noticeable for a while now. I'd be pleased to say that this has allowed me to refine just what my thoughts on her exactly are, but alas, I've had no such luck. It doesn't help that many attempts to do so have led to the troublesome topic of Iwanako. Every time my thoughts drift into that direction, I reflectively try to think about something else. It's interesting because she's the one that Iwanako had feelings for him. But it hasn't been sort of made clear that he had feelings for her. In a sense, we haven't really touched upon that topic very much. Because she was confessing to him in the opening, and that led to his the discovery of his arrhythmia. So it's interesting that he seems to be sort of jostling with this problem, in a sense. Maybe, like, it's actually hard to quantify in sort of a strange way, because imagine, like, you're confessed to, then you go into hospital, and there you are, sort of just, like, back and forth. She's there, you're there, but you don't talk very much. It's as if, like, that moment was put on pause, and for so long it was put on pause that it was never fulfilled on either side, right? It's such an interesting way of looking at it. And the only thing is I can't seem to think on why it would be such a problem. But I haven't been put in that situation, right? You know, like when you're trying to start a relationship with someone new, I guess there is that. Like when you're trying to start a relationship with someone new and you have some some preconceived conceptions about relationships, because you've already experienced 1, 2, 3, 4, however many relationships you've had going into a new one, and you don't want to jump the gun on top of, you don't want to assume certain things, or even still, you don't want the same mistakes to happen in your previous relationships. So that's where I guess, like, you know, you can drift all over the place. Why did this have to happen now? I turn and look up to the source of a tentative voice coming from behind me. Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to disturb anyone.
That's not it.
I glance around the orange-tinted room, quickly realizing how silly my apology must have sounded. In the time I've spent thinking and lazing around in here, everyone's well and truly left. A library closing?
If you don't want to go, I could keep it open a bit longer. It's no trouble at all.
Don't worry. I should get going anyway, thanks. As I get up and begin to move off, I feel Yuuko's eyes drilling into my back. Is there something wrong?
You look depressed. Are you okay?
Yuuko nervously twists her fingers as she says this, unsure whether she's overstepping her boundaries or not. I really can't tell if she's more worried about my mood or about bothering me. Normally, I just shrug it off and assure her that I'm fine, but my reflective mood gets the better of me. Despite being staff, she really doesn't feel as much like an authority figure as the others. It's just, I guess the best term for it would be relationship problems.
Oh, I'm not too good with that kind of thing. My only relationship ended a bit abruptly. But if you want to talk about it, I mean, I could listen, I think.
Now I feel kind of bad for bringing it up. She's not that old, though, so at least she has a good chance of finding another partner. It isn't like we're in a bad situation right now. We have spent many days together as friends, sometimes going out to do stuff, that kind of thing. But I'm starting to want to do more for her, learning more about her and being with her more. I'm not sure whether it's actually love or not, though. And our friendship is as it stands is enjoyable.
You shouldn't let that stop you. Sorry. How to say this? I think that it's nice that you have a good friendship, but school is going to eventually end. Do you think you'll be fine with not knowing if it could have gone further after you've graduated?
I guess that's the crux of the problem. I really have no idea what the answer to that question is.
Well, I can't really help there. What your true feelings are is something you have to decide for yourself. But I think that if you do love her, you should definitely say something. After thinking about it really hard, I decided that even though my relationship didn't work out, it's still better that way than never knowing if it might have or not.
I never expected Yuuko to sound so wise. It only makes sense that, with more life experience than I, she'd have a better idea about this. I mean, that's like, you know, what is that saying? You know, like, it's better to have loved and lost than to never loved at all. Or, like, never ventured, never gained sort of mentality, right? Like, I've been through quite a few relationships. Good parts, bad parts, breakups, and all that jazz. And as I get older, or I guess as, like, the wounds sort of heal, you know, like, the scar will always be there as a reminder. But at the same time, you always get caught up in that sort of end, a negative ending to something, right? Whether, even if it has a mutuality to it, it still sort of hurts, right? Like, you're still going to be in pain. But I've gone so many years now, like with a relationship that really did affect me in the short term. But now I look back at it more in a fondness, just sort of the fact that I've learned so much since then, or I learned from that relationship. And for those X number of years, there was more good than there ever was bad, right? It's just when your lives are at a crossroad and one person's going one way and the other person's going the other, then That's just how it is. And I completely relate with that. It seems very, very straightforward when it comes to that type of stuff. And it's hard to tell people when they're going through like some terrible things. And I'm not saying that every relationship has good moments. Sometimes you are in terrible situations. And it's good that you have finally broken free of those. But it doesn't like numb the pain. Because to me, the scariest thing, I guess, and the thing that bothers me the most is sort of the loneliness. Like, when you're in a relationship, you have a companion. You have someone there all the time. And you sort of... I guess maybe this is a fault in me, is I sort of get drunk in the sense that I always have someone that's got my back, regardless of how good I am or how bad I am, as long as I treat them with respect and loyalty, you know? And it's sort of... It's like that's the thing that I yearn for now. It's like, I don't care who the relationship is with, as long as I have somebody, in a sense. And it sounds terrible when I word it that way, but what I'm sort of getting at is just the idea that though I miss the relationship part, I don't really miss the person that I was in a relationship with anymore, in a sense, right? You know, like it's just sort of how you go about it. It's because you want to have a relationship, but that person will come eventually, or they won't, or maybe, you know, like it's gonna be the next day after you break up or something. Like it's always that it's never quantifiable in that sense. But I've gone off on a tangent here. But yeah, no, you never want to feel like, you just don't want to feel alone, and that's where I am, right? Like, I'm over the person, but I'm not over, and I don't think I'll ever be over having someone to rely on, to love and care for, in a sense, right? That relationship sense. Anyway. Well, I suppose not very much was actually answered. Talking to her has helped get it off my chest, and I have no doubt that I should confess if I really do like Lily. I give a slightly frustrated sigh. If only reading so much actually helped when it comes to a situation like this. She gives a girlish giggle, which only reinforces my view of her as being different from the usual staff here. In the end, it all comes down to what will happen after school finishes once again. Considering what happened before I came to Yamaku, it feels like being asked to keep up with a field of runners despite having started from a dozen yards behind them. It's just one more motive to move on from the past. The last thing I need right now is to get too caught up in that and getting homesick while I'm at it. Once again, I find myself calling Lily. My phone bill is going to be horrific, considering it's international. But it's worth it. I don't only want to smooth over her feelings from last time I called, I genuinely want to talk with her again. When the phone finally picks up, I easily recognize the voice on the other end. Garble, 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 satao, garble, garble. Yeah, moon speak! Hello, Miss Satao. May I, speak? Damn, I've forgotten how to rest. How the rest is supposed to go. Oh, okay, he's trying to say it in English? Aw, isn't he just a little sweetheart? Damn, I've forgotten how the rest of it's supposed to go. It's not encouraging to forget such a small amount of words, even if I didn't spend that long trying to memorize them. May I speak with Lily, please? Hello again, Hisao. Are you teaching yourself English? Just a little. I don't think I'm too good at language in general. Oh, don't say that. Your pronunciation was good. I'll get Lily for you. Just wait a moment. An obedient, an obediently amount. Wait. Wait. An obediently? Oh gosh, I'm gonna have to look that up. Obediently, I'm gonna say, and wait, as she goes off in search for Lily, the other end going silent. Eventually, a much more awake-sounding Lily than last time answers, the time over there being past noon by now. Hisao, are you there? Yeah, I'm here. Hi.
Good afternoon. Sorry for taking so long. I was outside in the garden.
Gardening?
Unfortunately, I've found I'm no good at it, so I just smell the flowers. I think my fingers appreciate it more. I take it Hanako's recovered a bit.
Yeah, I just made sure she was eating, and eventually she righted herself. Thanks for the help the other day.
I don't think I was really that much help. The main thing is that she's better, though.
True. How's life over there, then? It sounds like you've been living in nothing short of a mansion.
I wouldn't call it a mansion.
But it is rather large. Is obviously what she wants to say, though modesty stops her. I'm a little envious, but it is her holiday.
It's a nice house to stay in, though. There's a beach near here, too, which Akira's especially fond of.
She's a swimmer?
She's constantly dragging me there to have swimming competitions, which she wins every time.
Lily doesn't strike me as very athletic at all, so not being adept at swimming seems logical enough. The fastest I've ever seen her move is her understandably relaxed pace during her walks to and from the suburbs down the hill from the school. That is a long-ass sentence. It makes the image of her swimming hard to imagine. Okay, Hasao, I'm sure you can't imagine her in a swimsuit. The beaches there must look nice, sorry. They'd be less crowded than the ones around here, at least.
Indeed. Akira says the area around here looks beautiful because it's so far outside the city.
I only realize what I've said after I say it, but it doesn't bother her at all. It's still easy to forget that she can't see when she's not around, despite the times we've been friends.
That said, the local, accent sometimes makes communication a bit hard.
Like, I was about to say ascend there. That's why I, stumbled on there. Let me re-say that sentence.
That said, the local accent sometimes makes communication a bit hard. It's a constant reminder that this isn't home.
Well, the fact that she doesn't consider her parents' residence to be her home makes good sense. It makes me realize that I can't really answer whether the same goes for me. Graduation from Yumaku is distant enough to be difficult to view objectively, and I've spent so much time in this small room. I've come to accept the dormitories as my new home, surprisingly quickly. Yeah, that's actually something that's really interesting too, is when I moved out of my parents' home and I moved into my apartment at the time, it didn't take very long for me to be like, this is my house, this is my home. And then I stayed there for 4.5 years. So in all intents and purposes, I was very comfortable with it very quickly. Even when things changed within my households, it always feels like home. And I have moved back in with my parents for just a little while here, and it's as if I never left, in a sense, I feel at home. Though there is one thing itching in the back of my mind is I want to be independent again. I want to have that because I had it for so long, So I could see where, certain circumstances go. When I did leave home originally, I left a part of it behind. So now that I've moved back in, it is home. But it's not home, I guess, is how I'm trying to say it. I guess that would be hard to deal with. Is your knowledge of English holding up?
Thankfully, I may be fluent, but being in a position where I have to use it often helps in curbing my Japanese accent, so it's been useful practice. I hear you're trying to teach yourself English?
More like memorizing a few lines and failing at even that much. I'm really not cut out for learning another language. My admission of defeat draws an amusing giggle.
I believe that there are things one chooses to do in life, and also things that are chosen for one to do in life. You can take comfort in the fact that you're better than me in science and math, at least.
All that helped in making me Muto's star student.
I wouldn't worry about it. They're useful skills for many jobs, right?
That's what he tells me. His face veritably lit up when I said I'd probably go into the career involving either. We both share a warm laugh at the events that have befallen each other on opposite ends of the world. It's nice and reminds me of our simple small talk that has been missing since she left. As each of us wait for the other to begin speaking, I decide to push ahead with my feelings. I can feel my throat tightening slightly. I miss you. The silence on the other end of the phone tells me she's giving the words their due weight, but as it goes on, I can't help feeling more and more apprehensive. Thankfully, the silence ends almost as quickly as it had begun. I miss you too, Hisao. Goodbye. Goodbye, Lily. Once again, the phone is hung up, simply and without any further ado. That light, tentative, almost shy voice, her warm and soft tone. I'd simply be lying to myself if I were to say that I don't recognize this feeling for what it is. With thoughts of Lily dancing on my mind, I start anticipating her return. Today has been a most excellent day. And with that, we shall end the part. So take care, guys. Stay frosty, and I'll see you tomorrow.